There's evidence, there's blood, there's other things that are still redacted that make no sense. I don't understand how that is possible.
They're still, they just
Yeah,
filed motions today, I believe, or yesterday, was it? They're trying to seal evidence. Like,
I don't understand
what?
it.
He's in prison for life. Why do you need to seal it?
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me.
What up, Miss Sammy T Mafia?
Hi, Hive.
My throat is killing me. So
Oh, yeah.
I was telling you backstage,
Poor honey.
recap last night. I know you had watched the stream. We went over
Yeah.
the what we're calling looped footage. Why do you think it is that either A, a lot of people maybe never noticed it until that stream,
Well,
or
I didn't
B,
notice it till I was high as shit on Saturday. I'm dead ass serious, people. Okay, so my girlfriend was in town from California, and we decided to take it back to 2010 and do a little bit of psychedelics. Now, let me just say, when it's not like real bad psychedelics, it's like a little bit of Molly and something else. I'm not really sure, but it worked out great. Anyways, I get home and everything is like perfectly in color, every line, everything's like so vivid. You're almost like seeing like a cat and you have hearing like a cat. I mean, I could hear everything. It was just so crazy. So I go, I want to watch the Idaho 4 footage when I'm like this. So I did, and I said to my fiance, I go, videotape me watching this to see what I pick up on. And the thing I picked up on is they said they're looping the audio. They're looping the video. They're looping the audio. I go, here's the same car. It's coming around again. Here's that same gravel sound. Here's that same door shutting. Here's that same light. It's flashing in the same spot, same place. And I was like, there's no way that this is, I go, are you seeing this? And he's like, obviously you're seeing a lot more. but
you were though.
but I was. And that's the craziest part about that too. It's like, wow, was this always here and I just never noticed? Because I've watched this footage a million times. The fact that you caught on to it without being high means you're really in, like, your mind is like, wow, open, you know.
Yeah. I the fifth entry gave it away. No car naturally
No,
speeds up. And I picked that entry because I'm like, that, in my opinion, looks extremely manipulated. So if I can get all the other ones to match that, what does that say?
well, Rick said, because you said the thing about the diesel engine, and he said it, but it doesn't sound like a diesel engine. Then he goes, wait a minute. It sounds like it's, if it were, he said, it sounds like they slowed it down.
Right.
And I go, exactly what they did. And I also was reading like this thing about tampering with evidence. And they said that the active approaches for video forgery and stuff, they said active techniques for detecting forgeries employ pre-embedded information. For example, a digital watermark, a digital signature to accent the authenticity of content, ownership, integrity, copyright violations, blah, blah, blah. And I thought about it. How did they get that? How did they get those videos, right? We don't really know the chain of custody of all that, do we?
Mm-mm.
We don't know
No.
the videographer or the person who put it on the thumb drive to give to the defense. We don't know any of this, really. And remember, they kept giving, like, they got the video and then they gave it back, or they got access, but then said they didn't have it. It was like everything that we have surrounding the Linda Lane parking lot and that one, porch one, that the story for how it was obtained is fucked up.
Well, it is. And that's something that as of late, I've really tried to kind of hone in on, which is if people want to say that it's manipulated, that's fine. But then you have to say that everything is manipulated. And the same people that have been lying to you for however long are the same people writing police reports 3 years later in August. You know what I mean?
And also writing things like added on, oh, we're adding a memo about said piece of evidence in 2025.
Right.
Right? We're adding like I thought the discovery period was over. How are you allowed to keep attaching things to evidence? I don't understand. Or what do they call it? Not self-approving, but like we're self something for all this evidence, like self-reporting. Okay. Self-reporting.
Well, it doesn't make sense.
So you sign a document that says this is what it is and nobody needs to check it?
So going back to like the leaks, right? In general,
Mhm.
if the footage was leaked, because if you think back to the beginning, that 1112 audio was leaked. And if you remember, there was a clip of a news reporter. I believe that True Crime Design actually had a clip of it, and I have it loaded up. Well, I know she did because I have it loaded up here. I'll play it. And this is what was said about that audio initially.
Multiple viral posts regarding alleged audio. Remember in the affidavit, it says at 4:17 a.m., the neighbors to my left here have a surveillance video camera that picked up audio from Xana Kernodle's room about 50 feet away. About 4:17, hearing the dog begin to bark, hearing a loud thud and what sounded like either whispers or whimpering at around 4:17 during the time of the murders. So circulating online are posts like the ones you see on the screen of this alleged audio of that surveillance video here. And so being on the ground, I spoke with the neighbors here. Paul's going to pan over here how close this home is, this blue home that we've seen next to the crime scene where that surveillance video would be. I caught the people living there walking out earlier, and they have debunked that audio. It is not the audio from that surveillance video. So I think that's important to clear up because those posts have gone so viral. But you can see behind me just how close that blue home where that surveillance video would be to Xana Kernodle's room right up there.
So that's interesting.
That is interesting.
That like camera pan
Mhm.
really shows you how close that house is.
I thought the same thing when I was watching your episode with DA this week, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And he was going around the neighborhood, and Rick and I were just mouth agape because when you take it from a different angle, like a cell phone camera, it becomes even more narrow, in my opinion, and more stacked up on top of each other. And I was like, this is wild how close everything is. Everything seemed to me to be within a reasonable distance when I'm watching news footage of it. But when you're watching cell phone video of this or just like that camera shot, you're like, get the fuck out of here. These people were on top of each other.
Right. And I think what Big J Money 83 said is, bro, the Moscow body cams make everything so far away. Everything is so close. I think body cams have like this ultra wide angle lens. They obviously want to capture the largest picture that they can for the
Mhm.
sake of lawsuits, protection, whatever it is, just surveillance in a way. Right. But it doesn't necessarily represent when you're standing there from how it looks like through your own eyes.
Yeah, it's a bit of like a fishbowl, you know?
Right.
If
Right.
it
So
and it and the far away things, I feel like it's pointless too in some ways because it's like you can't even really see what's going on from that far away. So if somebody's ducking down, are you really seeing it? Because even if you see a shape of somebody far away and you're like, I'm pretty sure that was somebody over there, it's not sharp enough to even make that claim, and nobody would accept that claim in court either.
well, that's I agree with that. And I think that that's what's really reinvigorated me about the footage and the audio is this. I am not saying that the audio and the video is legit. I am acknowledging it has been manipulated 100%. I went as granular as I could last night, and I thought that would be a good time to have you on right after because we were texting. I actually
Oh
called
yeah.
Sammy the night before, and she was like, "Make sure that you let the video clips do the talking. Like, put extra text on the screen with timestamps, things like that." And
You
and
did
I
a great
did.
job. I was like, this has to be super fluid, you know, give a basic rundown and then have the videos do the talking for you and then kind of go back into it because this needed to be out there. And for the people who are so like married to the documents all of a sudden, like the documents, see this matches the document, like, okay, we get it. There's some things that match up. Great. Does this mean that we are just discounting this?
Well, there's things that are in the video that would match up too. Same thing with the audio. You just saw that last clip that I played, 417, the thud. Well, okay. I
Okay,
think that I
right,
showed last night 1112 is extremely manipulated. So
right.
how do we know?
And if they lied about, like Candace Owens always says, if you start lying about little things, what else are you lying about? And that's why you just open up this can of worms. And I don't understand this recent push to keep the lid on to a certain extent. Nobody's saying go off into conspiracy land. Nobody's screaming like it's the Jews, like, right? I mean,
Right.
it's not what we're doing.
But it's like, are they leaks, or are they put out at a certain time in a certain light to make them seem like they are leaks? Like there's an entire narrative behind a certain piece of something
I
that's real, but it's framed in a different timeline. You know what I mean?
I honestly think the leak came from the idea that they wanted to pre-bunk people putting things out.
Yes.
So what they're doing is basically saying is, see, you can't trust the internet, guys. You
Right.
can't trust your eyes and ears because right out the gate, we had an actual leak that was probably audio taken from maybe another crime, let's say, and it was juxtaposed with the video surveillance. And so if somebody on TikTok can do that to you, then everything else that's out there that is shady that we worked on, don't trust it. So only come to us if you want information.
You just said what I was trying to say in a sentence. They're pre-bunking it. That's what they're doing. And I think that's what a lot of this case is. Now, there's evidence, there's blood, there's other things that are still redacted that make no sense. I don't understand how that is possible. I'm not.
They're still they just
Yeah,
filed motions today, I believe, or yesterday was it? They're trying to seal evidence. Like,
I don't
what?
understand it.
He's in prison for life. Why do you need to seal it?
You can't tell me that, given the narrative with how clean it is, all of the documents, all of the video footage. I've said this till I could say this till I'm blue in the face. We don't know what happened. Even
Right.
a shred of evidence. It's very obvious if you have looked at this case at all. Brian didn't do it. That's not what we're debating.
Right.
We're trying to figure out what
Why?
actually happened and why. Yes, why actually before even what, right? Why? Um,
And although, and by the way, if they didn't get the people that really did this, how much power do those people have in that area? And
well,
if this
a lot.
happens again, who's going to be the next Brian Koberger or the Richard Allen or the Karen Reed? I mean, this is why we don't stop.
You know, one thing that I know people talk about a lot, but I don't know if people understand that it's on that same level. What other high profile cases have they torn the crime scene down for? Sandy
Oh,
Hook,
yeah.
9/11.
Yeah.
Did they
Um,
tear down
Oklahoma
Uvalde,
City bombing, I think they got rid of a lot. They didn't want
Uvalde
people
or
they didn't
no?
want people, testing certain things for that, I remember, because I remember there was that guy, he spent his whole life
Charlie
investigating that.
Kirk?
Oh, yeah, they paved right over that the week of. Oh, yeah, we had that job lined up. Wasn't there just a schmurder right there? What are you talking about? We can't push off the pavers for a week? Are you kidding me?
But that it's a pattern that you can't just like not include that in the pattern. Do you know what I mean? Like, whether it's that or not, it does fit into that pattern. It's high profile.
It fits very much into the JFK like pattern, in my opinion. We have your
V-
decoy boys, like
Yep.
the frat boys, like the George Zins. In Kennedy's situation, it would be your Oswald and your Jack Ruby, right? You got your decoy boys. And then you have the people that surround the situation to cover it up, which would be the, anti-Koberger podcasters and news people and the mainstream media narrative who just parrots literal bulletins posted. Like, they don't do any digging. The only one was Brian Enton, and I'm sorry, that was a little shameful. He did a shitty job. If I were a real reporter, I would be getting the addresses of all those kids' houses and going to their homes on Thanksgiving and be like, "Do you have any comment? Do you know where Xana and Ethan were?" I mean, what happened to journalism?
I said this a while ago. I said journalism has become marketing for the narrative. That's it. Real journalism is dead. And you want to know why? Because they literally killed all the journalists that did real journalism. Or they've blacklisted them, they've extorted them, they have, done something to expose them, whatever you want to say, right?
Yeah, they're
And
murdered in Gaza. They're murdered in Ukraine. Anybody trying to expose the money laundering and the genocide? Bye. See you later. Oops, you blew up.
I don't want to go down this rabbit hole. So don't let either of our brains take us there. But it's like, if you are over the age of 40, 50, there is like a 99% chance that the talk show host or the anchor
Mm-hmm.
that you watched that night was working for the CIA. Like
Oh, yeah.
documented.
Totally.
I just think of Anderson Cooper and all that shit that I saw. Now my brain is going down that rabbit hole of
But
like his
when you,
background and shit.
I know the Vanderbilt legacy.
Yeah.
So when you said that somebody was passed out on the 911 call, when you were talking about that in the beginning of the show, I was thinking about the Banfield phone call for the alcohol offense. And I really wonder if that's why the cops were called there, because we never heard that 911 phone call either. And by the way, who made that phone call? Because that area looked pretty sparse that evening. I didn't see a lot of people out and about, but it's a college area. Do you foresee somebody in that area of that apartment complex by that Banfield just calling up the cops and saying, I think somebody might not be 21 and is drinking beer? I mean, does that make any sense to anybody? So then I wondered, was that really what that 911 phone call was about? Or was there something else that happened and they just so happened to do some bullshit pullover of kids with alcohol afterward?
I doubt anybody called.
But if that was true, then how many pullovers did you do that night with underage kids drinking? Because that would be one. And then somebody who stole a sign. Like, so I'm not really seeing the connection here. Like, what was your big heist of drunken college kids that evening? And what a weird neighborhood to be doing that in, too. Wouldn't you think you would be doing that more towards the clubs?
Speaking of the Banfield, didn't even plan this. I'm not talking about the Delta yet. I chose to back off the Delta for a couple of reasons. One, I wanted to show at least as good of receipts as I could that you can't believe these freaking timestamps up here. I would even argue too, when I zoom in, Sammy, look at this. I could see, doesn't it look like there's pixels around the letters?
I was going to say, like, in that PDF document, we'll go over it after we do this, but like it goes through how you know if an audio or a visual thing you're looking at is credible. And this PDF document I was reading through today is super thorough. And I was like, oh, there's something wrong with this video. There's something wrong with this audio. And it points out how you can tell. And like, what it actually, I'm not a math person, but it gives you the equations you can put in if you're a coder to figure it out. So I was like, if I'm going to do anything on the weekend, I'm putting the theories in that like 140-page document, downloading this IDEO whole 4 thing and putting it through these tests that they said to do in order to prove why, by the way, why wouldn't the defense do this? In my opinion, I still have yet to see the police file on metadata. I like, where is that?
You know, all I'm really doing is just showing what was happening and making it easier to see, right? Like, does that make sense? So,
Yeah, and I also I don't know if you noticed this, but you know the windows in the corner there, like on the left-hand side, there's that one part. I wrote it down what time it was, but you actually can see 3 people going
that's what
into.
this is. All right. 1,
2. See? Because they're talking.
2,
4,
3.
2, 4, 5,
It's a lot, dude.
6. Or no,
But I
that's
think,
light.
well, I
That's
think
light.
that, so here's what I think it is, because I've looked at that a lot. I think that what it is that one person, so you know, like there's 2 headlights, right, that are beaming. I think one person walked to the passenger side, so that's why you only see one flash. And I think the other 2 walked in front of one. So you see that walked in front of the second one, makes it look like 3 people. And then the third person walked in front of the first and the second light. So that's what makes it, because it happens too quick.
It's a shadow trick.
I think it is. That's why I put it negative, but I believe that it's 3 people. Now I know on the Banfield they say 4 or whatever, but my whole point is this. I'm working on things like these type of visuals Because if I don't have these, I can say whatever I want, but I can at least now show people that are like, okay, yes, there's a timestamp, but refer back to what I showed last night. How do you believe any of them? And I even did the
Exactly.
Linda Lane.
Yeah, I was looking at that too on Saturday and saying the same thing. I mean, I was thinking about this now that you said 3, but there was 4. Well, who's to say that somebody wasn't waiting? Remember we saw the red Mustang in the side view mirror of the police car, right? Like when you're watching that Banfield footage and you slow it down, there's the police car, and right behind the police car in the side view mirror is that red Mustang pulling up, pulling around, pulling out. So who's to say there wasn't somebody that was waiting for them at that point? And that's why you see some of them ahead and some of them behind.
What I did with the 1112, remember how I cut out all the non-activity and it made it very obvious that it was looping? Do you know what I
Yes.
mean? Okay. When you watch it, any of the Linda Lane footage on like 3 or 4x speed,
Mhm.
you can hear it the
I
same
know.
way.
I did the same thing. I started with the Linda Lane on Saturday, and then I went to that one. So that's why I was like, I can't believe we figured out the same thing on the same weekend, and we weren't even talking to each other. Like that's, I don't know, what do you call that? Kismet, I guess. Like what is that?
Telepathy.
Yeah, fate. I don't know. That's so bizarre. That freaked me out so bad when you said a preview of what you were doing, and I text you. I go, get the F out of here. I was doing the same thing this weekend and had that realization. I made my fiance videotape me when I was figuring this out and was like, it's looped sound. It's looped. And the I'm not saying either, by the way, that they're doing this because they're covering up for a murder happening at a different time. Okay, maybe, but what if it's just whatever was happening collectively beforehand? Like who was getting together, where they were meeting up, talking about plans. You had the gunnery rack thing that we heard all in that audio that was pretty clear in the Linda Lane footage. There's things that I'm wondering if it's looped around because a lot of the planning leading up into that 4:00 time space, like for example, Pav seems to be married to this time, and he has I'd say a good argument for why he thinks it happens in that time frame. I'm not saying it's 100% accurate or true because he's just going by the documents instead of more so where I have a lot of problems with just believing whatever is written in a document. No offense. And because I can't trust the video and audio now that I know it's looped and fucked with, it's definitely fucked with. I'm not saying that they're just hiding it because they're screwing up the times of when they're murdered. What if there was some sort of other thing going on? Like the roommates leaving maybe, or Brent Kopaka coming in, or the officers who were patrolling around doing something they weren't supposed to be doing. I
Yeah.
don't know. But the point is that this is looped around. There is fuckery going on with the surveillance.
Nothing that I've ever said. I saw some comments about what I said the other day. I can promise you it was not about him at all.
I don't think you've ever said anything derogatory about him.
No, I like Pav. I think he
Yeah.
does amazing work. I've shown his stuff on the stream a lot. And I think that, again, the way that I would just describe it is this. There's like 2 different types of brains for this case. There's like proving Brian Koberger didn't do it and that what they said happened is not as straightforward. And then there's like what I would say my brain is, which is
Pattern
what,
recognition.
yeah, pattern recognition. It's so go off the documents because you have to be able to wake everybody up. You have like I give him credit because as in his own words, he has a curious mind. He has a mind that can go to those places. I know he can. He wouldn't be able to do what he's doing if it couldn't. But my point is this is that I give him credit for being able to stay focused on what he said his denominator is, like the common denominator being the documents and disproving it from that. Like I totally see the direction that he's going to do, to do this and to figure it out.
And I like to think we do a little bit of each and learn and take from each other. So I just hope that the people who do their jobs really well don't sit here and poo-poo on people who are trying to say that like this actually exists. This audio and surveillance footage is actually fucked with, guys.